Okay, it's time to cut. What? That's right. That's right.
Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. And in today's nonsense from the internet, we're going to talk about y'all boy, Dave Meltzer, claiming that there is a direct correlation between pushing older talent and declining younger viewers. So, Royal Rumble 2021 took place. Everybody was so excited about it. Everybody was happy. People loved the surprises. People liked the matches. People were really thrilled about the winners. They're looking at the potential of what could take place. And Dave Meltzer, in his portion of the internet, of the wrestling internet, is pushing the story of the Royal Rumble being too old. That the average age was 38 point something. There was a decimal in there somewhere. So it was like 38, I believe. And so he's on his site talking about how old these people are. And he says, only 2 guys under 30 is a real indictment. Of what? I don't know. Not having a large percentage of your stars under 30 directly coincides with huge declines with fans under 30. And WWE doesn't take chances. They have had guys like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, who are unreal talents, a kid, but look how long Dunne has been in the system. So they're pushing the old story that WWE pushes old guys. So I decided to do a little experiment, just for shits and giggles, my own entertainment, and therefore the entertainment of the people who listen to this, which probably is not going to be as many people as who read Dave Meltzer's tweets and stuff like that. So I said to myself, if age matters, then I guess we should look through history and look at all the biggest stars in wrestling. And everybody should have been a fresh-faced 25-year-old when they won the title or when they became a big star. I mean, that's what Dave Meltzer is saying, right? That if you push guys who are over the age of 30, then people who are under 30 don't want to see them. And I rubbed my chin and I did some looking. I started with the oldest. I started with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And I said, how old was Ric Flair when he won his first world title? Ric Flair was 32. I was like, okay, that's bullshit, okay? Ric Flair is an anomaly. Everybody loves Nate. You know, let's go with another one of the older guys. How about the immortal Hulk Hogan? How old was he? And he was somewhere between 30 and 31. And I was like, Hogan was also bald. And I was like, oh wait, that doesn't make sense. That would make Dave Meltzer definitely wrong. I was like, well, there's got to be somebody in here somewhere. Another big star who became a big star under the age of 30. And I looked and I saw Bret the Hitman Hart was 35. And I was like, oh, he was 35 when he won the title? Oh, kids loved Bret? Oh, that can't be. That cannot be true. What about Shawn Michaels? No, can't go Bret without going Shawn. Shawn was 31 in 1996 when he won the title. And I was like, that's bullshit, yo. Come on, that's bullshit, right? The biggest star of all time, of course, Hulk Hogan. Another one of the biggest stars of all time clearly was like 24 when he won the title the first time. Stone Cold Steve Austin. How old was he in 1998 when he won the title for the first time? I look, he was 34. Wow. It seems like the biggest star that's ever been made under the age of 30 is The Rock. That's it. That's the list. And The Rock was what? And remember, The Rock was getting booed. Everybody hated The Rock. Remember that. It wasn't until 1998 that people actually started liking The Rock. He had been on the roster 2 years already. So it's almost like Dave Meltzer pulled this out of his ass. And he chose the numbers. I didn't choose the numbers. I personally would have said 40. Like, you shouldn't push people over the age of 40. I would have said that. And then he probably would have been right. Because there's not that many fresh-faced 40-year-olds getting pushed to the top of the card. But 30, that's the sweet spot. Sorry. That's about right. Not getting pushed until you're like 34 or 35. That's about right. Maybe you shouldn't get a new contract at 35 and you just getting into developmental like they do in NXT, maybe that shouldn't be happening. But becoming a big star at over the age of 30, that sounds about right. This is the wrestling business. This ain't the NBA. And if that were true, if what he's saying is true, he would be able to show me. I would love to see that graph, by the way. I would love to see the graph that proves him correct. The only thing now, when it comes to young people and their viewing habits, I find it hard to take this type of stuff seriously. One, coming from somebody who's 60. Two, coming from somebody who doesn't work in marketing or advertising and doesn't know the fuck all about either one of them. Three, somebody who thinks that you card people before you cheer them and buy their t-shirts. I mean, heaven forbid somebody would have found out Becky Lynch was over the age of 30 when she became a top star. They wouldn't have bought her t-shirts. It's like, oh my God. When you look at how many people are buying Fiend merchandise, do they know he's 33? Do they know they're supporting this elderly man? How ridiculous is this? Nobody cares about that shit. Now, we've seen in legitimate sports where you can blow out your knee, blow out an ankle. You could be a teenager and never be able to perform again, right? We know that in legitimate sports it's completely different. But that has fuck all to do with the demographics of the people who are watching the show. That has to do about athletics and your athletic ability. And your athletics decline with age. But in wrestling, since psychology is what matters, your psychology gets better with age. That's how some of these guys can be so much better at 46 or 44 than they were at 24. Because they got better with age. And let's say that he's right. Let's say, hey, we should always have a bunch of stars under the age of 30. If that were the case, then I guess people shouldn't be watching AEW. Because Chris Jericho was 48, 49 when he won the title. He was a standard bearer for the company. He was almost 50. Jon Moxley is 35. And Kenny Omega is 37. Kenny Omega is older than Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. While we running with this, oh, they only push old guys. He's older than Drew and Roman. He would have fit perfectly in the old man rumble. He'd have been just under the average age. People don't push young talent because the guys don't know how to get over it. They don't know what they're doing. This is not an athletic competition where everybody cares about how pretty your flips are. That's what Dave Meltzer is talking about. That's all he cares about. The average audience doesn't give a fuck about that stuff. So why is he like? And yes, he does try to turn positives into negatives. He does. I mean, we all know this. But let's continue with the second part of his diatribe. That it directly coincides with huge declines with fans under 30. Who does he think the WWE's audience is? The show is PG. Right? The show is PG. Why would you have a PG product if the overall goal is to attract people who are 14? People who are 14 are not interested in parental guidance pro wrestling. They're not interested. Why would they be? Right? That's a good question. I mean, if you all you really do is sit down and think about it. Right? When you look at PG products or products that are parental guidance, that means for people under the age of 14, or we did this before. We talked about the audience, didn't we? I did an entire series on the audience already. Parental guidance is for people who need their parents to be with them to view something. So that means if people over a certain age are watching it, then they're watching it probably with their kids. So, and we all know that he's trying to use the whole Nielsen thing, right? They've declined with the 18 to 34 demographics. It's like, but they're reaching a younger audience. Their goal is a younger audience than that. Their goal is for an audience under the age of 18. That's why the show is PG. Why else would you do it? It's like Nickelodeon trying to get grown folks to watch it. No, you wouldn't do that. That's stupid. And it seems like this guy who's running a multi-billion-dollar corporation would know that. That he has all kinds of people with spreadsheets, all sorts of accountants. There's not just one brain in the Titan Tower. There's multiple brains. And you're trying to tell me all these people, out of all these MBA geniuses, all these people with business degrees and math degrees, all these people who've been in the wrestling business for 20 or 30 years, they couldn't figure that out, but Dave Meltzer knows? Oh, fuck you. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. They're reaching an audience younger than 18. That's the point of being PG. So he's wrong on both counts. They're not reaching for the same audience that traditional sports is reaching for. They're reaching for people younger. And people who are younger don't pay fucking cable bills. Hell, they don't. I've done, again, a series on this. Young people don't even watch TV. They stream. They watch things on YouTube. So this stuff is ridiculous all the way around. He wants to push young, untested talent who don't know how to get over and only can do the athletics. And then they can hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. We've seen that on AEW Dynamite, where you put a 19-year-old in there and he almost killed himself or killed his brother, one of the two. And it's routine on that channel, in that show, when people are doing that. This is y'all boy. It's not my guy. I've never been a Meltzer guy. Never. I've never been a Meltzer guy. Nobody cards wrestlers before they start watching them, before they become a fan of them. Nobody says, well, how old are you before I buy your t-shirt? Nobody thinks like that. Kids don't think like that. Kids are looking at things that are cool, fun, colorful, exciting, those types of things. And AEW Dynamite can be that. That's why people watch it, because it is colorful. It is exciting to some degree. It's also fucking hilarious, but it is what it is. But this routine argument that we're going to keep dredging up the same shit that the audience declined. It's like they went PG for a reason. I mean, I can't say these things to him because I'm blocked on Twitter, right? That doesn't mean that I don't follow people who also follow him and I see this stuff. And I mean, what I mean by I see it, I mean people screenshot it. So I don't get it. Everybody was super excited about the Royal Rumble. People were very positive. The response that I saw was very positive. A lot of people were so happy about both winners. Nobody was like, Edge is too old. Nobody except that corner of the internet was complaining about how old Edge was. Everybody was sort of looking at the story that they were telling, which is kind of the smart way of doing things, is saying, oh, okay, well, looking at the story, But that's an attack on the person and not an attack on the position or anything like that. This is what Dave Meltzer started doing. He just started attacking people, because he can't make up any sort of argument. Nobody gives a fuck about how old the people in the Royal Rumble were. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody has ever given a shit. To answer that question, nobody's ever given a fuck. Nobody's ever cared how old anybody was in any of these matches. Nobody has ever cared. So where did this stuff come from? They're literally making it up. This ain't the NBA. And NBA it's not because people watching the NBA because they're young. That's not why they watch it. They watch it because these are the best possible athletes. That's the same reason they watch fights. They don't give a fuck how old the fighter is. They're trying to see the best possible athletes. They don't give a fuck how old these people are. And if you compare the ratings of the NCAA to the NBA or the NFL, it gets blown out of the water. So the idea that people want to watch young people on TV doesn't even make sense. More people watch the Super Bowl than watch anything in the NCAA. So the argument that young people want to watch young people, it's not really true. And then when you look at something that is aimed at younger people who kills in the demographic is MTV. But what is MTV? MTV is mostly soap opera shit, dramas, you know, MTV's The Challenge and all that kind of shit. You know, it's always been that. It's always been True Life and all types of soap opera stuff like that. You know, cringe, trendy music videos and stuff like that. That's not what we doing here. The wrestling business ain't meant to be trendy. That was the problem with it in the 90s. It was trying to be trendy. It was trying to fit in with the mainstream. That was part of the problem. That's why the bubble popped so hard. Because instead of doing what they were doing, they were trying to follow in behind all these young people instead of setting a standard. But Dave Meltzer wouldn't know anything about that. Because it doesn't matter how successful you are, he doesn't like it. So it doesn't matter if it's generally positive. It doesn't matter if it's financially successful, he's going to crap on it. It doesn't matter if it's commercially successful, which is the same thing as being financially successful. But it doesn't matter if it's a fan reaction at being positive, he's going to crap on it. Because he doesn't like them. This doesn't make, and this y'all boy. This is the epicenter of a lot of information that y'all consume on the internet. You know, unsourced information at that. Because there's a lot of unsourced shit flying around from Dave Meltzer. And I don't know what more to say. What he's saying is a lie. Or he got a graph that he needs to put out there. If he's got a graph that can show this, I would love to see it. I can almost guarantee that graph doesn't exist. Not having a large percentage of your stars under 30 directly coincides with huge declines with fans under 30. Where is that? Where is that? Where did that come from? Citation needed. Citation fucking needed. You know? Whatever. Use the hashtag 3Count Commentaries to support 3Count Commentaries. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah.